Hey guys, Andy here. So I had the idea for this video last year when I was learning to code and I was building a website that I wanted people to be able to register on, and I needed to just store their passwords in a secure way. And I'd never really thought about it before, if I'm honest, but I found it really interesting how it all works, and I thought it would help if more people knew about this. So I'm doing this video with a few sort of tips as well of how to stay safe online. It is only a very basic overview. I'm by no means an expert, but hopefully it might help some people out there. So there's three different ways really that you are at risk of being hacked or have your password taken. The first being someone just guessing your password. So don't use your favourite football team, don't use your kid's name, don't even use your mother's maiden name. All these things can either just be outright guessed or can be socially engineered from you. It's just generally not a good idea. The second way is by what's called a brute force attack. So basically there's a program that goes to a website and just tries multiple different, and I mean thousands and millions of different passwords until it gets the correct password and gets in. Now a common misconception is use numbers and characters and things to try and kind of almost disguise your password. Not actually a very good idea. Horseshoe flipper carrot is a better password than password where the A is a 4, the S are dollar signs, the O is a 0 and the D is capital, because password is still a 8-letter password, and horseshoe flipper carrot is a 22-letter password, maybe. And a dollar sign or an S doesn't really matter to a computer that's brute forcing. A lot of the times they have programs that will replace the kind of commonly used dollars for S's, 4s for A's and that kind of thing. So it's still just a fairly small password. Whereas horseshoe flipper carrot, it's not my password, I'll point out now, you won't find me using that anyway. I'm just giving an example. Is a lot easier for you to, you're going to remember that now, horseshoe flipper carrot, is a lot easier for you to remember, whereas password where the A is a 4, the S is a dollars, the O is 0 and the D is capital is a lot harder for you to remember, but no harder for a computer to crack. So generally actually not a good idea. Just use big long passwords. I know some people use the same password for everything and anything. Again, not a good idea, as I'm sure you can imagine. If you're really that worried and you really want to use similar passwords, you might use horseshoe flipper carrot as your password, but then for each website, maybe at the beginning of that, so if it's Google, you might put a G and an O, the first two letters of the app or the website, G-O, horseshoe flipper carrot, or at the end, or something like that, just to make it that little bit different. I mean, someone probably still might be able to guess that if they find your horseshoe flipper carrot password, but it might help a little bit. The other option is to use something like LastPass. So check it out if you haven't. This is not an advert for LastPass, it's widely used. It means that you can make up a totally random, massive, long password for every different website you use and let LastPass remember it for you. You just then need to remember LastPass password, which could be the huge bit long horseshoe flipper carrot, or even longer, to make sure that that doesn't get hacked. So that's a top tip, definitely. I can't remember if I've done a video on LastPass. If I have, I'll stick it up there. If I've not, you're looking at empty space. And then the final way you could lose your password really is just the website getting hacked, and there's not a great deal you can do about that, aside from avoid websites that you think aren't very secure. And there's a couple of things you can look out for. So there's three different ways they will store your password, really. Well, there's probably loads more, but again, just a basic overview. One is just as plain text. So you put in horseshoe flipper carrot, and they just store in a database horseshoe flipper carrot. That not a good idea. If any website offers to email you your password because you've forgotten, you need to get your information off there as quick as possible, because that means they're literally storing your password. The second way is if they hash it. So it's kind of, I don't know if it exactly is encryption or it's just a bit like encryption, but they take horseshoe flipper carrot and they shove it through this whatever, and it churns out some massive big long like doesn't mean anything to us, but it's unique. Every time you pass horseshoe flipper carrot through their particular encryption, it's going to give out this same thing. So that means they don't need to store your actual password, they just need to, When you set your password, they push it through their hash. When you then go back to log in another day, you type in your password and they just check what you've typed in matches that hash once they've pushed it through their hash, if that makes sense. The best way I can think to explain how I think the hash thing works is kind of using like a very simplified mathematical version. So if your password is going to be between 1 and 10, and you say, oh, my password's 5, they say, all right, take that and let's multiply it by 4. Let's deduct 3. Let's multiply it by 2. Divide it by 6. Add 7. And there's your result. I'm not going to try and work out what that is, but let's say it comes out as 13. If someone hacks into that database and says, oh, the password's 13, the type 13 doesn't work, obviously. They can't particularly either work out what the number was that started. But when you go to their website and you type in my password's 5, press enter, they push it through that same mathematical thing that I can't remember, times it by 6, deduct 3, whatever I did, is it? And so what you've typed in gives 13. Is 13 stored in the database? Yes, it is. Let them in. Now there is that kind of encryption routine can be the same in different websites. Can be, so I think MD5 is one of them. And you will sometimes see you will download a file and they'll give you the MD5 to check the hash that the file is okay. Things like that, but a little bit different. So that is better than just storing horseshoe flipper cat, because someone gets in, they've just still got this massive, big, long, weird string that they're not really sure what to do with. But, and this is where we come back to kind of your passwords, if you've just literally used password as your password, and that gets shoved through the encryption method or the hashing, it's always going to kick out, using that hashing, the same unintelligible, big, long string. So, if you've then got even a dictionary lookup that goes through all the words in the dictionary, and next to password it says, right, if it goes through this particular hashing format, this is what it's going to look like. So they get your password off the website that's all these zx.49, pz, whatever, and they match that against, oh, here it is, oh, and that comes back, oh, that's password then, or that's apples, or whatever. If they find that hash in the dictionary, they can look back to see what that means the password must be. And these dictionaries will be massive, and we're not talking 10 or 20 of the top used passwords, we're talking loads of different passwords, literally thousands and thousands. And again, if they've got those programs that change the S's for dollars and the A's for fours, it's not even just password they're looking for, they'll have the hashes for P, for $, all that kind of thing. So it's better, but it's still not great. And once they find one person in that whole database that they can match, or 2 or 3 maybe, they can match, well, this hash means password, and that means they're using this particular method of hashing, all of a sudden they can possibly reverse engineer everybody's password in that database. So, not great. Well, it is not the best. The best is when they use what's called a salt. So, you put your password in as password. Rather than just pushing that through the hashing mechanism, they add a salt to the front of it. The salt should be different for each person that registers, and it'll probably look a bit like a hash itself. In fact, you may even have just like your user ID, which wouldn't be known by anybody, it's just where you're stored in the database. They might hash that and use that as a salt on your password, and then hash all of that together to give you a different massive, big, encrypted looking string. So when they look for that massive, big, weird looking, they're not going to find that in a dictionary, because they're not going to find, well, it depends what the salt, how the salt is used, but you know, the salt in itself is going to be some big, crazy, weird looking string that's added to password and then shoved through. It's just not going to happen. And even if they do, as long as that salt is different for every single user, all they've done is crack that one password, not everybody's in the database. So I hope that makes sense. So things to remember: don't go clicking on weird links in emails. So that's how you can give away your password. You get an email from PayPal saying, "Oh, you just spent £500. Did you know that?" You go, "What?" And you click the link, and it asks you to log in, and you don't be doing that sort of thing. Don't use obvious things to guess, like your favourite football team, your kid's name, your date of birth, any of that kind of stuff. Don't use any of that. Then don't rely on random characters. Use massive, big, long, I've forgotten actually, horseshoe, flipper, carrot. That type of thing is your password. That's much more secure than the short ones with all the funky characters in. Then just avoid websites that basically let you ask for your password. So hopefully that's made sense. If you have questions in the comments, I'll do my best to answer them. Like I say, I'm not an expert. It's just some bits that I've learned as I've kind of been learning to code and thought they were very interesting and people should know about it, really. So I hope it's been some use. Let me know comments. Let me know any questions in the comments. I'll do my best to answer them. But again, like I say, I'm not an expert. If you know more and you can give more advice, drop them in the comments and let us all learn from them as well. So there you go. Thanks very much for watching. My name's Andy. I'll catch you all again soon.